Alrighty, welcome to the 137th edition of the MMA Circus here on BloodyElbow.com. My name is Nick Baldwin. He is Andrew the Clown Kid Lawrence, and as always, we are your hosts for today. Andrew, what's going on?
A lot of things, man. Interesting commute home today. I kind of got some vomit on me.
Oh, how did that happen?
Well, someone on the train vomited.
Sure. Can you go into any more detail? Maybe I don't want to hear any more detail.
I know. It's kind of one of those Pandora box situations. Do you know what a Pandora's box is?
Yeah, like a charm thing, like a bracelet. No?
No. Okay.
That's really bad. I thought you meant like the jewelry place, Pandora, and a box that holds the jewelry. No. No. That's from Zelda. There you go.
It's not.
No?
I mean, it might be. It might be. They probably did use the concept of a Pandora's
What
box.
is it then?
Like it's a Greek mythology where like Pandora's had a box that like held every or she didn't know what was inside of it, or like it held like every bad thing in the world, like death and pestilence and disease.
I was thinking of Pandora's mask.
No, that's Majora's Mask in Zelda.
Oh, there you go. That's it.
God, man, you're worthless. But yeah, some dude vomited on me. Yeah, it was really bad. Like you should know what that phrase is. You're about to graduate from like high school, right?
Yeah.
You should for sure know what Pandora's box is. There's no more excuses for just like not knowing shit. I don't know. Maybe this generation of kids that's coming up are just dumb as rocks.
It's funny because you always think that week after week, literally every show, there's something new I don't know, and you realize and you crap on me and you're like, how do you not know this? But it's probably just my whole generation. It's probably just not me.
I think it's because I keep thinking like you're 15. But like you nearly aren't you like 18 now? There's like just no more excuses, B.
I'm 17.
Okay, well then you still got a year of excuses.
Exactly.
Keep fucking up.
Until I'm an adult, then these things, there's no consequences for not knowing what Pandora's box is. When I hit 18 in a few months, then I guess you can start laying the consequences down.
I mean, you're going to be a world famous journalist at some kind of newspaper meeting. There's going to be a round table, and someone's going to say, "Hey." Like I don't want to open up Pandora's box, and you're gonna be sitting there like, yeah, like Zelda.
Yeah, I'll play Zelda with you tonight too. Thanks for the invite.
The guys go look at you like, we're gonna fire this fucking kid. I don't know what the deal is, but he's gonna get fired.
We'll buy you a Pandora's box. What charm do you want? You like diamond or gold?
I don't know how the closest Hallmark store around here, but I'm gonna get that Pandora's box for you, buddy. No, but some dude puked on the subway. He was just some drunk Russian guy. I helped him off the subway. It's always weird.
Was not Fedor Emelianenko.
No, I could confirm it was not Fedor. Good. But I don't know, man. My life is just like I attract weird. I guess like that would happen to anyone else, but like they wouldn't help the drunk guy who vomited get off the subway. But like I'm just that kind of dude.
You don't attract drunk people. You just are that nice to help a drunk person, perhaps.
Well, like who hasn't been in the situation where they've wanted to or felt the need to vomit on a public transportation situation? Now, most of us have held back and had the self-control, or at least had the fortitude to be like, I'm going to get off this stop, vomit on the platform like a gentleman, and then get back on the next train. But this guy couldn't make it.
You're looking like Jesus today. There's something about just helping people that must just be in the air.
Hey, this in the hair is down, but Jesus didn't have beautiful hair like this, Doc.
Do we
see the color right now? Do you see the color right now? God damn it. There's been hair dye companies that have searched for decades to try to match this hair color. You ain't getting this hair color out of a box, motherfuckers.
What do you call that? Like it's in between almost like ginger and brown, but I don't know.
Ginger's I was about to say a prerogative, but what's the word I'm looking for? A pejorative. Ginger's a prerogative, so mind your P's and Q's, Nicholas. I'm getting as bad as you are. Your dumbness infuses upon me.
We've covered that before.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, I guess like technically, I would always usually call it strawberry blonde. Whatever. It's brown. It's red during the winter. It oscillates. It's fine. I just have great hair. What can you say, man?
Interesting. Strawberry blonde. That could be like an ice cream flavor almost.
That's just some shit that like women invent when they like talking because they like more description than just like, yo, you got red hair.
Instead of
kind of shitty brown red.
You take French vanilla and strawberry ice cream and you get French strawberry. That's what your hair is.
It's like a blondie, if you know what, like a blondie instead of a brownie with like, some strawberry up in.
All right, sure. We'll go with that. But anyways,
I'm just hungry. I didn't eat dinner, and I'm like, damn, that sounds really tasty right now. I could go for a strawberry blondie
either. So
well, let's be hungry and talk about mixed martial arts.
Yes, but first, very quickly, because we do have a lot to get to, but we got to talk about the weather. Liam, our most loyal listener, he comes
for one quick second. I thought you were going to announce a new sponsor, and I was like, "Holy shit, we got a sponsor again! What the fuck is happening?"
Remember on episode 100, a number of weeks back, when I said, "Oh, we don't have just one sponsor, we don't have just two," and you're like, "Wow!" And it's like, "Yeah, we got 0."
Yeah, that was fucking terrible. Yeah, where's the money at, people? Bring it in.
So Winnipeg weather right now, we're actually not doing all that bad. 30 degrees Fahrenheit.
30 degrees Fahrenheit. So what's that? Minus a half? Minus
like -1?
Yeah. Well, that sucks. That seems fucking terrible.
It's honestly not that bad. The snow is melting a little bit. It's not going to go away.
What you guys talking about? Snow melting. How funny. It was 44 degrees today. The sun's down, of course, because, I mean, what is it? How often is it dark up in the Winnipeg now? Like, the majority of the day. You get 3 hours of sunlight.
It's like the Northwest Territories and Yukon and Nunavut, where they go sun all the time for the summer months and no sunlight at all during winter. But with daylight savings, a couple weeks back, it goes dark around 5.
Okay, so that's like reasonable. Yeah, why not? Fuck it.
All right, let's get into some mixed martial arts talk, because as I said, there is quite a bit to cover. Let's start with this past weekend's UFC Fight Night 120 went down from Norfolk, Virginia. In the main event, we had Dustin the Diamond Poirier pick up a third-round TKO, injury TKO win over Anthony Showtime Pettis, the former UFC lightweight champion. Fantastic fight. Picked up Fight Night honors, but a bit of a disappointing finish in the third round, about I want to say maybe with a minute and a half left or so. I'm just approximate. That's approximate. Poirier was in. He had a body triangle, but he was on top, or he was rolling on top, and in that process, Pettis injured something, seemingly a rib. He popped a rib, or maybe tore cartilage.
Yeah, first, actually, the word we're hearing from his camp, Duke Rufus, said that they think right now that it's a broken rib and not cartilage damage, which a broken rib is more severe, but like damage to the cartilage or damage to any kind of the connecting tissues between your ribs is more long-term. Like, you don't recover from it as well.
Right. Well, I guess it's in a way good to hear, but nonetheless don't want any injuries, of course. But Dustin Poirier getting the job done. As I said, kind of a lackluster finish, just in the sense that it was such a great fight and it stopped sort of bizarrely. No one knew what had to happen until, the replay or whatever. But nonetheless, I mean, Dustin Poirier looked really good in this fight. Pettis, I'm gonna give, props to Pettis here. Pettis looked pretty good. If we're being honest, Pettis looked closer to the old Showtime Pettis that, reigned over the lightweight division for a little while. He wasn't there. He wasn't quite there, probably not even close, but he was a lot better than even the Pettis that fought at 145 against Max Holloway. He looked decent. He got in his fair share of shots. He landed a bunch on Poirier, but the difference makers here was his takedowns. That is not something I expected. I was a little surprised to see Poirier even just attempt a takedown, and then for him to
But really, we know that Anthony Pettis is so susceptible to takedowns.
I know. It's a great game plan for most people, but when Dustin Poirier isn't a wrestler, he's a striker for the most part, so you don't always expect it out of those types of fighters. But I mean, again, it shows he's smart and he can game, and he had a good game plan. So that was the difference maker. He was able to get Pettis down. He controlled a lot of the scrambles, although they were, good scrambles, although they were super bloody and it was slippery because of that. But also Poirier just had the harder shots. He rocked Pettis. He nearly got Pettis out of there. I think it was at the end of the first round, maybe even the second. I know there was at least one time when, Pettis not quite saved by the bell, but give Poirier another 20 seconds, could be all over. So good fight, back and forth, super, action-packed, but I think there were a couple of things that really set Poirier apart from Anthony Pettis.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like the more complete fighter. Let's rewind a bit, like zoom out for a second. overall, we know that you secretly hate mixed martial arts and you've never enjoyed a single card in your life. How much did you like this card?
Well, this one, it's always different for me because when I don't watch a card live,
you hate
when
stuff.
No, when I don't watch the card live, and I only watched the last 4 fights live, and I caught up after or before when main card was starting. I was watching the prelims and etc. So it's always harder to bait. I mean, it's weird because I guess when there isn't like FS1 pacing and I'm watching fight to fight, I almost, it's hard to compare it to other cards, but I thought this was a really good card. Main event was great.
Cards are much better when you fast forward through commercials. That's just a universal truth, right?
Certainly helps. I mean, the prelims were generally fun. From what I watched of the Tatiana Suarez win, nothing too special, just a dominant performance, a lot of wrestling in that one. I did not watch Angela Hill and Nina Ansaroff, and then McGee Strickland was the other one I did not catch. But everything else, even on the Fight Pass early prelims, Jake Collier upsetting Fortuna, that was pretty fun. Carl Robertson getting the job done in the curtain jerker. That was a really great performance. And also, big props to Super Sage Northcutt. This was the best performance of his career. He looked really good.
Yeah. I know we don't want to spend too much time on this, but like Super Sage Northcutt looked like a goddamn fighter, man. He's a kid who's coming into his own. Team Alpha Male, might just be the move for him. I tweeted out on the Middle Easy account.
It's the move for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I think I tweeted out that he was fighting so that his father would let him stay at Team Alpha Male, and that if he lost the fight, he wasn't going to be able to smoke weed with Uriah back in the Team Alpha Male van. But like, yeah, he just looked like a composed dude. And after the fight, now he's tweeting pictures, hanging out with hot California chicks. Well, I feel like Sage needs to have a bad boy phase pretty soon. What is he, like 20 years old now? 20, 21, 22?
We thought that was going to happen because remember after he lost to Mickey Gall, there was like the memes with Nick Diaz or Nick and Nate Diaz with we
wish that it was going to happen, but now it's definitely going to happen. It's there, man. I want to see Bad Boy Sage get a motorcycle, Sage. Fucking start banging chicks and dumping them and just breaking their little hearts and being like, Sage.
There were glimpses of that. I mean, he's still sort of the good-looking guy that that doesn't talk any trash, but he was more aggressive. It seems he was picking his shots really well, and even Paul Felder, pointed out. And by the way, great job to Paul Irish Dragon Felder, his UFC commentary debut. Sounded like a veteran. He did really, really well. I like that pairing with John Anakin, and I hope it continues. The UFC would be, really, really stupid if they don't get Felder a regular spot when he's not in camp, or even if he is, because he is right now, and he took this. But
plenty of shows out there to get everyone a little bit of work, huh? So yeah,
but I think Super Sage, though, he picked his shots. He looked a lot more composed. And just, the karate style worked a bit better, just in general, as far as his fighting style, as far as the effectiveness of it.
He wasn't like his stance kind of got hybridized. It wasn't a straight karate deal.
No, it wasn't like Wonder Boy by any means.
Yeah, he just looked like more of a mixed martial arts fighter. I don't know any other really way to say it.
Yeah, he was aggressive. He picked his shots. He didn't go all out. He knew when to throw, and it was a very smart performance. I think a finish would have helped, of course, in any scenario. But nonetheless, I mean, this is a big sort of Team Alpha Male stands out here because we're also talking about Clay Guida. Clay Guida got the job done in vicious fashion in the first main card fight against Joe Lozon, fellow veteran, getting him out of there in the first round with strikes. His first TKO win, I think 9 or 10 years. Really impressive stuff from Guida. And Sage Northcutt, Clay Guida just put on their best performances in a long time, and they're both the Team Alpha Male.
I don't know how much we can put Clay Guida's performance so much on Team Alpha Male as much as we should put it on Cholos on maybe shouldn't be fighting professionally anymore.
Perhaps, but Team there's a trend. There is a trend.
Too likely.
Even look at Darren Elkins. There is a trend. Team Alpha Male does a really good job, seemingly, Justin Buckles, whoever, at bringing in fighters that are kind of down and out, not doing super great. Maybe they're veterans, maybe they're not, but they have room for improvement. And then they go out there and look just a lot better overall. So I think if
they're an old dog who can learn a few new tricks, right? If you're willing to go to Team Alpha Male, yeah, and learn,
You
then I
can
think
fight
it's
long enough where you just can't learn any new tricks. But then also Clay Guida has fought forever, and he's still coming out looking better, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Clay Guida is really learning too many new tricks. You know what I mean? Clay Guida be doing Clay Guida shit.
Well, he's not learning new tricks, but he's using his old tricks more efficiently. Air Coquin.
Hey, that's a
Wrestling.
really good point. Yeah. He's just like more of a he's more strategy based than maybe he had been in the past. Real quick fun fact: Clay Guida hadn't TKO'd a dude since April 2nd of 2008, a UFC Fight Night card that happened in Bloomfield, Colorado.
No, I don't.
You don't.
Oh no, I do. It was Velasquez and Dos Santos.
No.
That was
it was Kenny Florian against Joe Lozon. Interestingly enough, how funny is that? Yeah, he knocked out some Shami Chavallo. I feel like I should know that name, but it doesn't ring a bell. I don't know. Too many fights, too many years, Nicholas. It all blurs together after a while.
In the co-main event, Matt Brown put Diego Sanchez away with a vicious elbow, but I think even more important, more ridiculous, the UFC broadcasting team screwed this whole fight up.
Oh, that was hilarious, right? They just showed the empty press conference table. They did the old screen deal.
Well, my first reaction was, okay, this must be a Canadian thing. This must be like the TSN broadcast. And my phone was off because at the time I did not know the results of two fights, the Asuncao fight and the Guida fight, and I wanted to watch those fights back after the main event. And so, had my phone been on, had I been on Twitter, I would have gone on immediately and said, did this just happen, or seen that this did happen worldwide seemingly, or at least in the US. But I thought for sure it was Canada, because I always seem to blame Canada for things like this.
Well, it wouldn't make any sense because like UFC's the key broadcaster. Now there might be a different commentary booth doing it in a different language, but like the person giving that video feed, there's one video feed and it's handled by the UFC, and it's distributed to multiple different television broadcasting outlets like Fox, like Fight Network, like Combate, whatever the hell they're pronouncing it.
Yeah, I guess the feed is all the same, but then somehow they make it their own. I mean, I don't know how that works. I'm not a TV guy, but somehow they change it up a little bit for different channels. But yeah,
well, they change up like graphics and drops like that.
Right,
but there's like a main feed.
But anyways, Matt Brown looked really good. I don't think he'll retire. And I think going by what he said, it doesn't seem like that's the case. I mean, going in for
MMA. There's been one real MMA retirement ever, and it was oh god, my mind just went blank. He beat Dan Hardy.
George St. Pierre until a couple weeks ago.
Well, that wasn't a real retirement. He beat Dan Hardy and walked away from the sport. He's such an upstanding dude. I'll look it up because that's gonna beat me up forever. But it's so very rare in the UFC that or in MMA in general that anyone actually stays retired. So my likelihood that Matt Brown stays retired, I'm going to put that at 0%.
Yeah, I would, if I'm being realistic, I'd probably give it like 20%. Because, I mean, he has 2 kids, he, has a wife, and I could see that maybe playing a factor, but I don't think so.
God damn it, it was Chris Lytle. Chris Lytle actually said, this is going to be my last fight. I'm going to retire after this fight. He went and he fought, and he retired. And won his last fight, walked off into a sunset in a blaze of glory.
You just jinxed it. He's going to be fighting on the next card. Just one.
How fucking hilarious is that after like a 6-year layoff, like Chris Lytle decides to come back and just gets absolutely... The UFC will like match him up against some 22-year-old hungry kid who just smokes
Matt Brown.
No, that wouldn't. No. I like my narrative better.
Anyway, so Matt Brown gets the vicious KO. I think the biggest thing here is, well, obviously one of the best elbow KOs of the year, maybe even the best, one of the best KOs of the year, but also Diego Sanchez. I know you're not retiring, but please freaking hang the gloves up.
Yeah, it's hard, a guy who was famous for his iron chin, but we're talking about his last few performances being like really, really sustained. He'd been in wars, but like you always kind of knew Diego as a dude who could like kind of take a vicious beating. Ali Quinta, that was a true KO. An elbow for Matt Brown, that was a true KO. I know he's doing a lot to protect himself. If you read Jonathan Snowden, that Bleacher Report wrote an amazing piece on Diego Sanchez. For the hardcores and the old school like me, It's a must read. Just once again, a fantastic peek into the bizarre, weird mind that is Diego Sanchez. And kind of the reason why we love the sport for Diego Sanchez is, man, fuck boring, normal people who say like boring, normal shit. Yeah. Diego Sanchez is an amazing free spirit, weirdo freak. Of course, he should be cage fighting. And yes, we want to hear what he has to say. So yeah, definitely check out his piece on Bleacher Report. It's probably on my Twitter feed. I retweeted it a couple times. But yeah, I'd like to see him hanging up, man. I know that he's doing a lot to preserve his health, and he did take this elbow in the back of the head. That's going to knock out probably anyone, honestly. But still, you know, it just ain't looking good for him. In the way he fought this fight, I didn't like at all, because Diego Sanchez at his best when he's just like, fuck it, let's go and let's bring it, and it's guts and glory and swinging for the fences and just like doing epic shit. Diego Sanchez here looked like tentative and looked conservative and looked like he was trying to like fight a game plan that was like smart and
that's
avoiding damage.
For Sanchez as of late. Look at the Jim Miller fight, the Marcin Held fight.
No, the Marcin Held fight, he was still kind of going for guts and glory, man. He's climbing up the cage to get off of things. You're right, but he was implementing his wrestling game. He was trying to to be a takedown first guy.
He's trying to be smart, and he's putting on smart performances in a way, but it hasn't been working all that great.
Yeah, man. I would like to see Diego hang him up.
Yeah.
Anyways. You know, we kind of missed this, but I wanted to talk about, if we're going to move on. Are we done with Diego Sanchez?
Yeah, so go for it.
Yeah, I want to talk about this Marlon Moraes over John Dodson fight. Because once again, I feel like John Dodson got absolutely screwed in judges' decision. This scorecard is a complete clusterfuck. 30-27 for Moraes. 30-27 for Moraes again, and a 27-30 for John Dodson. So, like, what is going on here? I scored the fight 29-28 for John Dodson.
I had it 29-28 Moraes.
And that is two very perfectly acceptable scores. I don't understand how you give all 3 rounds
to anybody.
Come on. So, like, every single fighter, every single judge at ringside was incompetent in this fight.
Yep.
What the fuck?
That is 100% true.
Yeah. All right. I guess that's all I really want to say about
it. It was a fun fight.
Really fun fight, man. Yeah.
But yeah, a couple last notes before we move on from Norfolk. Andrei Arlovski gets back into the winning column. 5-fight skid, snapped. Wasn't a great performance. It was a decision. Not a good fight. Pretty boring. But he got back in the winning column, and it counts for something. I think another thing here, though, is just let's sort of, go back a little bit on Junior Albini. Even myself, even I was saying after he knocked out Tim Johnson, hey, this might be a guy to look out for. But that's just, me subconsciously, hey, there's no one else to look out for at heavyweight, really. So let's look out for this guy who's 1-0 in the UFC. So pump the brakes a little bit on Albini. He's still young, I think. His his nickname's Baby. I'd assume he's young, but
26.
Yeah, and for heavyweight, that's literally a baby.
Super young. Yeah. He was genuinely wearing a diaper. Let's not forget this. It has to be mentioned. It was fucking absurd. God, like, heavyweight talent in the UFC just sucks. Like, we get some fresh, hot 26-year-old kid, and he can't even beat old ass Andrei Arlovski. What is Andrei? He's probably not 40 yet, but he's damn close. Yep. Yeah, And in the tread on that tire has to be wearing pretty thin, you'd think. But like Junior Albini can't find any way to. I mean, clearly Andrei Arlovski outcrafted the guy. This wasn't like him being like a power fighter or anything, but he just like outlasted him, used like little tricks to stay stay one step ahead of him. Poor Junior Albini though, like, dog, you're just not talented enough to be in the UFC right now. Back it up,
Yep. Well, anyways, one last note about this card. Rafael Assunção got his first knockout win in forever. Defeated Matt Lopez by 3rd-round knockout. It looked really impressive. The right hook was there. Great knockout. And just get this guy a big fight. I mean, why is he fighting Matt Lopez? I know not many people were available, but he's not going to get a title shot next. But I'd like to see him fight Jimmy Rivera. For anybody that doesn't know, Rivera versus Dominic Cruz when it was unfortunately canceled. Dominic Cruz, I believe, had a broken arm and is out at UFC 219 in Las Vegas at the end of the year. So I'd like to see Assunção step up. Rivera versus Assunção for the next title shot. I am definitely down with that.
I've never seen Rafael Assunção knock anyone out. So
no.
He's not an exciting fighter. He's never been an exciting fighter. So like keep this up, Rafael Assunção. If you think you're gonna get a title shot, like you need to knock another couple dudes out for real.
Yeah, it's true. He's always been a guy where his fights seem closer than they really should be, or they look closer. They're really never close. Like they're all pretty dominant performances, but just the fact that he doesn't use his jiu-jitsu, which I believe is pretty good. He doesn't get the knockouts. They always seem closer than maybe they actually are, and that's not always a good thing. Let's move on. Let's talk about let's go with Jose Aldo. He is stepping up to fight champion Max Holloway. Frankie Edgar, very unfortunately, pulled out with a facial injury, some sort of cut maybe that requires
he showed up like we saw him on camera. He just had like a black eye shiner. Didn't even have a cut.
Yeah, there's a little band-aid across his face.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there were some stitches under there, but come on, man. It's a Vegas hell. You hope that he isn't having like structural, like like a hairline fracture in his skull. That's the kind of shit that you're like, oh Jesus.
Serious. So I think the biggest thing we got to talk about. Who did you want to see fight Max Holloway? Did you want to see the greatest featherweight of all time, Jose Aldo, do the rematch that isn't nearly as intriguing as it was before it happened in June? Or did you want to see, Cub Swanson step up? I think it was basically Aldo or Cub. What side were you on?
I was pulling for the outsiders, man. I'm trying to see T-City, Brian Ortega get a late night or a late minute replacement, No, that was a long shot. I don't know. If I had to fall in either camp, I guess I fell into the Cub Swanson camp.
Yeah.
I don't give Cub a very good shot of beating Max. I'm just going to be real about it. Like, Cub's a great all-around fighter, but what he's added to his game in the latter years has clearly been boxing. He's really been focused on his hand game. But Max is just like more of a natural organic striker. He's a better natural and organic striker.
And he can also tap Cub out because, as you said, I don't know if Swanson's jits game and wrestling defense has gotten all that better.
I think that Cub is okay. I think most of the times when he gets himself into trouble, it's when the fights kind of progress to that area and he's too tired or he's been rocked. And I've never been like, hey, what's the key to victory here in beating Cub Swanson is let's get him to the ground and sub him out. I know he's lost to Frankie Edgar by neck crank, but that was like a sustained beating. I think that Max got him with a guillotine, but that once again, sustained beating and, off a desperation shot. Who else beat him? Ricardo Lamas beat him. Was that by I think that was by a submission as well. So maybe there is more to this than I'm giving it credit to. But, both of those were sustained beatings. I'd have to go back and watch the Lamas fight to kind of remember how the fuck that went. I don't know. I every time I think that I'm getting interested in seeing Cub Swanson fight Max Holloway again, I kind of talk myself down from it. You know what I mean?
Well, with me, I think Aldo Holloway 2 is a closer fight than Holloway Swanson 2.
I'm with you.
But the fact that the Swanson fight, and neither is a great option just because Holloway has finished both fighters within the past 2.5 years. But the big difference maker here and why I wanted Cub Swanson to step up is because we saw that fight 2.5 years ago. We saw the Aldo fight less than half a year ago. So with Aldo Holloway happening so recently, there's nothing at all that makes me believe Jose Aldo can win this fight. I mean, he's still a great fighter. He's on the way down, but he's a good fighter, more than a good fighter. But there's just with Holloway finishing him in June of this year, there's just nothing at all. Where at least I still don't think I don't give Swanson much of a chance even today. But the fact that it happened 2.5 years ago, it's almost like making myself believe inside subconsciously, oh, it happened so long ago, there must be a better chance of Cub winning, or there must be a path to victory, when in reality there's not. But
there's a much better chance. There's a much better chance that Jose Aldo had much more success against Max Holloway than Cub Swanson ever did.
And I think
Cub Swanson sustained a beating, and Jose Aldo won the first 2 rounds of that fight. I think they were both scored for Jose Aldo. If you go and look at the judges' scorecards, I'll dig it up, but I'm fairly confident there. If my memory is any.
The biggest intriguing, the most intriguing part about this fight is, does Aldo go to the leg kicks? He didn't in his first fight. I think he threw like 2 and maybe landed both. Max Holloway's always been, susceptible to leg kicks. Does Aldo implement that?
That's the thing. Everyone always goes, is this guy going to implement leg kicks? Who don't understand shit about, how fighting it happens. It's like you can throw the leg kick if you have the openings to throw leg kicks. What Max Holloway did that was really great was not leave that as an offensive option for him. He controlled the distance. Don't shrug it off. That's exactly what happened. He controlled the distance. He instituted the distance between them being in striking range, came into striking range to land his punches, and was out of striking range before there was any opportunity to land any strikes. So, what I thought was really great that Max did in the Jose Aldo fight was he planted traps. He set patterns, watched Jose analyze those patterns, and knew Jose was going to analyze those patterns and counter with this, and then was ready for what that response was already. And that's how he ended up getting his TKO victory. That's the kind of high-level thinking that you're like, okay, this is a guy who has organic skills, a guy who's natural at striking, a guy who takes very well to fighting, coming into his intellectual, his fight IQ, maturity. It's going to be hard for Aldo to have many answers, I think, against a dude who's really playing as smart as Max does. But maybe Aldo has a bunch more tricks in his sleeve, and that's why this is kind of more interesting for me. I know that I talked about this, and I had said that I wanted to see Cub if I needed both of them. But now that it's all said and done, I'm kind of happy with how it's turned out. I think that probably Jose deserved it more than anyone else, if we're really looking at it on a merit basis. That's
somewhere where we disagree. I'm not upset with the Aldo fight. I think it's still the closer fight than Cub, but I feel like just Cub deserved it. Aldo, I don't. It's weird that we're saying, Aldo doesn't deserve an immediate rematch while he's the best featherweight to ever live on the planet.
Yeah,
but he's also 1-2.
Stop it! But 1-2, but 1-2 against who? You're talking about a guy who's just
the best. I'm not saying
he's beat the brakes off Frankie Edgar. He beat the brakes off Frankie Edgar. Like it was an embarrassment. He lost to Conor and Max. He's beat the brakes off. Okay, rewind. Frankie Edgar, Chad Mendes, Ricardo Lamas, the Korean Zombie, fucking
But Aldo would have.
I think then those fighters get repeated a bunch of times, and then we're in the fucking distant past with like Kenny Florian.
The thing is, the idea of an immediate rematch of Holloway-Aldo.
Well, hold on, let me finish this point.
Minds.
Let me finish this point. It's that Cub Swanson has beat Artem Lobov, Dooho Choi, and Kawajiri.
Dooho Choi is a pretty big win.
But stop it, man. We're talking about a dude who, in his past resume, beat Frankie Edgar twice. Yes. The guy who is where we're talking about replacing. You replace the guy with someone who's beaten that guy, not someone who's lost to that guy.
The problem is there's so much MMA nowadays. Recency matters so much. Swanson on a 4-fight winning streak, that just looks better than Aldo, losing his last 2 of 3.
But you say looks better. Looks better to who, dude? Like to what? Us dumb hardcores who are going to buy the stupid card anyway? Like, come on. To outsiders, Jose Aldo's got much more name and cachet.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's close. I'm not going to complain. Certainly not. I would like to see Jose Aldo live in Winnipeg. That kind of sucks. But
who are we rooting for? Who do we want to win? And then we can move on.
But we don't want anybody to win, or at least I don't. I don't really care.
Oh, come on, man. Stop being a fucking objective journalist. Who in your heart? You're going to be there because you ain't getting credentialed. You're going to be there in the stands as a fan. Who are you going to be like,
not at Aldo Holloway.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. We were supposed to see what's happening in the pack. Yeah. But anyway, who do you want to cheer for in this? Like, be real.
But I think Holloway takes it again.
Okay. I'm going to be pumped as fuck to see Max Holloway. I love the new blood, man. As much as, I am an old schooler, you can't not get hyped if you're me about some Hawaiian champion dude who's going out there talking about the blessed hour. He's just a much better character than Jose Aldo is. Let's be real. Max Holloway is more fun, and that's why I'm gonna be rooting for Hawaii all day, man.
All right, fair enough. Well, let's move on from that. Oh, one last thing. I ideally TJ Dillashaw versus Max Holloway for the featherweight title. That would have been perfect. That would have been fantastic.
Oh my god, did you just tap into my brain? I feel like I might have tweeted that out, but like that's the thing to do. right? You want to blow some fucking people's minds right now. Yeah, to have TJ Dillashaw in a super fight against Max Holloway, that's beautiful. That would have caused some fucking chaos, and people would have been pumped about it. The hardcores would have loved it.
Yes, I would have loved that more than anything. But
that's why you get a Nick Baldwin on the staff. Get the kid on payroll, people.
I tweeted it. Now that I know you tweeted it, I really got to go back after the show and see who tweeted it first. Who came up with the brilliant idea first?
I feel like that might have been independent thinking, but just like, perhaps. I've invaded your brain space.
Minds think alike. That's why we host a podcast, if we're being honest.
What the fuck, baby? That's what's up.
All right, let's move on and talk about another fight cancellation, but another fighter has stepped in already, and it happens to be the UFC middleweight who lost the middleweight championship just a couple weeks back to GSP. Michael Bisping has stepped up for Kelvin Gastelum because, what do you know, the greatest middleweight of all time, not even the GOAT of all time.
The greatest fighter of all time. Continue.
Anderson the Spider Silva was popped by USADA for the second time. It pains me to say that, but it happened. Not surprised, if we're being honest. I guess... there's not a whole lot to say about the Anderson Silva, side of this. I mean, he tested positive for something. It's potential violation. I'm sure we'll know what the substance was soon enough. It sucks, but inside, it sucks that he might get suspended again. But inside, I'm so happy that fight with Gastelum's not happening. I had no interest in seeing Gastelum beat up Anderson Silva at all. 0% interest. 100% serious.
Let's be honest. I was gonna watch that shit. I was gonna watch that shit, but I was very sad about having to watch that.
Yes.
Let's be real. I was gonna watch that with a heavy heart, and I was gonna get myself pumped up with some false dumbass hope that like somehow Anderson Silva could get this done when he was going to be murdered. And not only that, the myth, the aura of what is Anderson Silva, the greatness that is the Spider, was going to be tarnished just a little bit. And that was the saddest part, really. Why the fuck is not Anderson Silva fighting Vitor Belfort or Vitor Belfort aged people for the entirety of the rest of his career? The words, Kelvin Gastelum versus Anderson Silva should never enter a matchmaker's brain unless that brain is broken. I don't know how this happened unless like Anderson was like, I must fight in China. Get me any fight in China. And they asked everyone and everyone was like, fuck going to China, fuck going to China, fuck going to China. And Kelvin Gastelum was like, shit, man, I'll pay me to beat the shit out of Anderson Silva, like $250,000, and I can gamble it on myself in China. Yeah, I'll win that all day. So yeah, this was sad, and I was really happy to see kind of the drug suspension. You know my opinion on USADA. Fuck USADA. Drug testing in MMA is a goddamn crime against the sport. That you are tarnishing the legacy of the greatest fighters in the world. All of your favorite fighters do steroids. I'm even talking with the ones right now. Everyone's doing steroids. Stop living in a lie of illusions, or a life of illusions, you goddamn marks. This is a sport where people batter each other and beat each other for money. They are definitely using performance-enhancing drugs, bar none. There's a rare, slim few who do not. Every single one of them. So stop it. This whole, like, can Anderson Silva be considered the GOAT? No, he is the GOAT. Tough shit. You don't get to go back in time. Everyone he beat was on steroids, so what the fuck are we talking about? Those people are harder to beat. They're the steroid people, right? Come on, man. This is just... I can't believe that how many years more do you think that the UFC can withstand USADA until finally they're like, fuck this stupidity?
I think they go on for a little while.
I'm saying within sometime next year, they figure some way to get out of this. It's killing everyone. It's killing the John Jones, the future GOAT. It's killing the former GOAT. It's just spraying down people left and right. Killed Lyoto Machida during his like twilight years where he was going to get beat up for cash. Like, what the fuck are we doing? I
would be 100% okay and happy with if they just all of a sudden said, okay, no more drug testing. Do whatever you want. Let's have some good fights. I'm down. And I know you're down,
you still need to keep the illusion of that there's drug testing happening. That's why I like the Bellator system. We're testing on Fight Night. We're letting the commissions handle it. It was the best answer forever. And they're like, well, answer's not good enough. It's not good enough to a bunch of teetotaling assholes who really don't understand what MMA is all about. And motherfuckers like Ariel Helwani who want to talk about saying the word violence is bad for the sport. Stop it. Stop it. Just stop it. You're getting me upset, Nicholas. God damn it. Change topics before I break something.
No, we can't change topics yet. So we got to talk about Michael Bisping. Michael
Oh
Bisping,
my God, yes. Michael Bisping's a hero. He's a dude who, like, one of the few people that if someone was like, he's not on juice, I'd be like, I almost believe it.
Now, before we say too much, Bisping is going to be one of her gets it, doesn't get it later on. So let's not pick a side and say whether or not, it's a smart decision to take this fight. But he's taken the Kelvin Gastelum fight. He was put to sleep, not long ago, knocked down, beat up by GSP, and he's stepping up 3 weeks later fighting Gastelum. Well, what do you make of this? This is, it's certainly a bold move.
Awesome. Right? MMA is about bold moves, weird shit, crazy stuff happening. It's happening in China. So it basically is unsanctioned. This is just the Wild West out there. Yeah, of course a prize fighter should be allowed to be choked unconscious by a French-Canadian man in New York, fly across the country 3-4 weeks later, or probably like 2 or 3 weeks later, and fight some young up-and-coming stud who will likely knock him unconscious in Shanghai. Yes, that is what prize fighting has been based off. That is the foundation of what's up. Michael Bisping is like, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but like Michael Bisping's the ultimate journeyman. And it's not a bad thing to be a journeyman. Being a journeyman's dope. Fucking The Legend of Kung Fu, that dude, what's his name? He was a journeyman, dude. Like, you go on a journey. You travel the world fighting people for huge stacks of cash, and you come home and you bring home your wife millions of pounds, and you go on, luxurious vacations and your family, and you're just like a baller. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what prize fighting's all about, people. So fuck yeah, Michael Bisping's like the last of the old school, the last of the hard knocks. And you know what I love about him? He's not really that good a fighter. I mean, he's an amazing fighter, but like he's not a naturally talented athlete. No. He's just a grit and heart, determination, skill, and tenacity.
And he gives no fucks. He does not care.
He's the British Nick Diaz, and we're only realizing it just now.
It's very true. That's a good point.
And random side note: when I hold my arms like this, very Jesus-like.
Good point. Yeah, someone came into the chat a few minutes ago and said, I think he just said, "Hey Jesus" or something like that. Yeah.
Hey, don't be blaspheming on the chat there, people. Come on, man.
And then he also said, "Why does Jesus have a wrestling podcast?" Well, I don't think you do, but
I'm glad. Thanks for stopping by, buddy.
Unless sumo is wrestling, because then that's going to be a thing.
I was thinking about starting a sumo podcast, but that's letting the cart out before the horse. Let's see if it actually happens.
Yes, just like Beyond Combat. Had the idea literally 13 months ago, and I started it last.
You talked about it in the show for 2 years, and then you're like, "Oh yeah, I finally did that thing."
All right, let's talk about the best news of the week: Bellator's Grand Prix heavyweight tournament. This is the best thing in MMA for a long time. Ever.
Yeah, I don't know. Talk about, what have you done for me lately? Instantly, a heavyweight tournament happens, and I'm like, greatest thing that's ever happened. This is amazing.
So let's go through. Awesome, right? So what they're doing, Bellator has brought together basically a group of light heavyweights and some overblown heavyweights. There's literally 4 guys that are usually 205ers, and then we also have like 4 natural heavyweights, whatever, but it's also Roy Nelson. So they're bringing in over the course of 2018 or probably early 2018, they're going to do on multiple cards a 8-man Grand Prix tournament. The winner will be the new Bellator heavyweight champion, with Vitaly Minakov still out and fighting in Russia and doing his thing. So running down the lineup, we got Frank Mir, King Mo, Muhammad Lawal, Chael Sonnen, Matt Mitrione, Roy Nelson, Fedor Emelianenko, Rampage Jackson, and Ryan Bader. Interestingly, Bader's in this. He's the light heavyweight champion at Bellator. So if he wins, I guess he'll be a 2-division champion, and we'll see how that goes. This is fantastic. I mean, who's your early? Okay, so who makes it to the finals, do you think?
Oh, well, we haven't got the brackets.
I know, that's the problem. But
if I had to seed a 1 seed and a 2 seed for this, oh God, I actually, as fucking crazy as this sounds, I think my number 1 seed would go to Matt Mitrione, and my number 2 seed would go to Ryan Bader.
It's funny. Mine, those are the same 2. I just have them reversed.
Yeah, I mean, that's close, man.
It really is. I would maybe pick Mitrione, but I think Bader has accomplished more, so he'd probably be number 1 seed. That's a
And he
tough one.
couldn't, and tell me he couldn't implement a wrestling game just to like beat most of the dudes on this list.
But I mean, it would be, I would consider it an upset if either two of those fighters don't win.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
But I mean,
This is what I like about this. This whole tournament. One, there's not a name on here that you don't recognize. If you just look at this banner of the faces, all these characters.
if they had thrown in, like, I saw someone suggest on Twitter they should have done like a 16-man tournament. The other 8 fighters are sort of up and coming, younger, no names. And I'm thinking, what?
What the fuck are you talking about? This is people who watch MMA and they have no fucking clue like how to make a thing good. This is why most MMA fans should not be responsible for creating MMA products. It's like, no, just sit in the stands. You're a dummy. Like, you don't get it. Or someone else was suggesting, they were like, there's not enough. Yeah, who was I talking to on Twitter was saying there's not enough real heavyweights. They should have used this and started like naming Bellator heavyweights who, you don't know who the fuck Bellator heavyweights are.
Because you don't just forget the fact that this is a heavyweight Grand Prix tournament. It's the Bellator Grand Prix tournament, open weight. It's just fantastic.
That's the biggest thing. They should have called it open weight. That would have put the pride back into it, and I would have felt even better about it.
Yeah, and that's what Rising does really well. The biggest problem I have with this tournament, no Mirko Cro Cop. Cro Cop would have put the cherry on top.
Oh, dude! But Cro Cop's got to do the juice at all times, and they don't. They're going to hold 1 or 2 of these events in California. They're going to pick the guys who can pass the drug test. Yes. Probably.
And we'll talk briefly about Cro Cop during Gets It Doesn't Get It, because he had some news this past week as well.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Oh God, I can't believe when you said Cro Cop, my heart started like palpitating a little bit. But that's what's awesome. Like, these are people and characters that and I don't give a fuck. Like, let's be real. The product itself, like the fights that materialize from this,
are going to be great.
No, they're not going to be fights that we like remember and care about for them being like quintessential examples of like how great fucking
it's not going to be high-level MMA, but it's going to damn right be great MMA.
It's going to be old man MMA, and we're going to be excited as fuck. And if there's any kind of drama, what makes fights good is the back and forth. It's the drama. It's the story being told in the form of fights. And if that story has like conflict and shifts and changes, that's when it becomes good. Hopefully we get some of those moments.
Hasn't Chael and Rampage had something, beef for a long time or something?
There's a lot of weird beefs that are floating around this. I thought that Mitrione and Roy Nelson, haven't they fought before, but they're kind of friendly, but it got like weird and animosity. Yeah. There's a lot of weird stuff. Fedor's Fedor. So Fedor's great to see every single time. We're blessed by the Russian gods every single time he steps into a ring or a cage. Rampage is going to do some crazy Rampage shit, and King Mo is going to do his shtick. And what the fuck is Frank Mir doing in this tournament? every new name makes you laugh more. And, Chael's going to be doing Chael stuff.
Like, they all do something different. We
got the mouth.
These are not generic fighters. These all bring something different to the table.
They all got different styles. And like, even in this stupid poster that they made, and I actually think it's a great poster. I don't mean to call it stupid. It's fantastic work, actually. It's really great promotional work. Like, it's as nondescript as possible. It's like quintessential fighter stuff, like that half shadow, and then they're all lined up. But like, even when you're looking at that in black and white, you're like, I know these guys are characters. Like, just who they are is enough, Yeah. God, this is the only kind of downfall. The one criticism I want to make of this fucking master stroke is that, God damn it, this should really be happening over the course of, if not like one event, like you got to have all 4 fights. Like, the first 4 fights happen at one goddamn event. Like, make this fucking hype, goddamn it! Don't fuck this up and spread it out over being like, that's going to be the main event in Anaheim, and that's going to be the main event.
They better not do that. They got to have like the
Please,
first 4 fights.
Don't fuck this up, man. Make the fights happen, and then make the semifinals and finals happen on the same night. Can I be that crazy asshole who wants that to happen?
I'm a bit worried for their health, though. I mean, someone suggested this is a one-night tournament, or should be, and I'm like,
this is MMA. If you're ever thinking, I'm concerned for their health, that is not your job. You're the fucking drunk asshole in the audience. The government's job is to concern about that. You ain't the health commission. You ain't the commissioner.
But if the government isn't doing its job, someone has to step up.
Or as a fan, I gotta step up and do it. The government ain't getting it done. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Sit your drunk ass down and watch some old men nearly kill each other. It's gonna be a good time. I heard that Down Out 5000 was gonna be in the ultimate tournament. Is that? You got
I don't
anything
know.
on that?
No.
God damn it, I would love that. That would make me happy as fuck.
Yeah, they got to throw Baby Slice in here as well as a tribute to Kimbo.
Now, Nicholas, you're on fire today. God damn it! I feel like you're coming into your own. God damn it!
I'm becoming you.
Yeah, right. The best part about this too is the long-term move of it's really great. Everyone's like, well, what's sustainable about this? First of all, who gives a fuck? Nothing's sustainable in MMA. Always just do what immediately is happening. And secondly, Ryan Bader's going to win this motherfucker and get put over with thousands and thousands of fans. He's going to, if not beat personally, he's going to get the impression that he has beat nearly every single legend in the heavyweight division. And legends not in the heavyweight division in some weird way. Like, so at the end of this, they could emerge with a champ in Ryan Bader.
Yep.
Who's over with thousands and thousands of people. A guy who, and now that John Jones is out of the picture, you could make really great arguments that he could beat a lot of the guys in the UFC. Holy shit.
Yep.
DC retires, and all of a sudden, Bellator has the greatest light heavyweight and heavyweight fighter in MMA. My mind's fucking blown. Scott Coker, you're a genius.
And then, of course, Dan Hendo will make his way back as well.
And knock him out in the first round. And then the whole world of MMA will be happy. God damn it. I've just plotted out the next 2 years of Bellator's future. Make that happen, MMA gods.
Who's Rich Chow? Just get
come on.
Well, anyways, so Bellator, the tournament's going to be fantastic. We're running out of time. Thank God this weekend's UFC card is garbage. UFC Fight Night 121 going down from Sydney, Australia. Main event, Fabricio Werdum taking on Marcin Tybura. The only other really good fight on here is Tim Means versus Bilal Muhammad. You got Theodoro versus Dan Kelly. That probably won't be fun, but it's interesting matchup just because,
Australian prospect Jake Williams is fighting Bohan. Yeah, Jake Matthews. What did I say? Bohan Velikovic, who's just
the only other thing
on the foreign cards.
Would be Nick Lance and Will Brooks. So let's just talk about the main event. And I guess, we don't have any time for anything else. Werdum, Tybura, you got to go Werdum here. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm thinking Werdum all day, man. He's old and he's maybe, slowing down a little bit, but enough to beat Marcin Tybura all day.
Yeah, Tybura, he didn't even look that good against Andrei Arlovski. He looked all right. He got the job done, but he's gassed a little bit. He is not on the level. Some people are backing Tybura. In general, they think he's the next big thing. Not a chance. He's number 8 because the heavyweight division sucks. Werdum is much better. He's a better striker. He's better on the ground. I think he probably gets Tybura out of there in the later rounds, probably 4th round. I don't know if it's a tiki or
I think we could see a KO in like the 2nd or 3rd round.
Really?
He's a crafty kickboxer.
Yeah.
He's not like the best organic striker, but just like I was talking about with Max Holloway, who sets traps and fights, he sets traps really well. And, that's what he did against Mark Hunt and landed that huge knee KO. That's a special fighter, and I know Marcin Tybura is, kind of coming into his own, but like I said, not enough. And the talent's just not there. Come on.
Alrighty, so we're both going for Werdum by stoppage here. I'd be pretty surprised if it goes the other way. Let us move on to Gets It, Doesn't Get It. Why don't you run through them?
All right, Gets It, Doesn't Get It. If you've never seen this show before, welcome. And Gets It, Doesn't Get It is a segment where I name a person, a place, a thing, an event, and I ask Nicholas, did that person get it this week or did they not get it? First up, Conor McGregor, featherweight champion, lightweight champion, Conor McGregor. He's going to take that belt too. Recently apologized for his actions during Bellator last weekend, where he hopped over the fence, tackled his teammate who had just not even really won a fight, but it looked like he'd kind of won a fight. And then when Mark Goddard took objection to it, decided to attack him, physically shove him. He proceeded to apologize about the whole instance.
He also slapped another official. Don't forget that.
He also slapped a Bellator official. Let's not forget about that part.
Really, it was a Nate Diaz Stockton slap.
It was kind of cool.
Yes.
Yeah, as fucked up as the whole thing was, that was kind of funny and awesome. Conor McGregor apologizes. Famously, in his apology, he quotes his concern for the KO'd fighter who he nearly trampled on.
McGregor was just trying to save the day because Goddard didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, clearly he's the compassionate guy like that. Yeah. So okay, Conor McGregor, Nicholas, gets it, doesn't get it.
Well, Big doesn't get it. Any person who knows what they're talking about, would agree. Conor McGregor, this was a really BS apology, you know, just sort of bringing things out of his ass. I mean, as far as his reasoning for jumping in the cage, and he had, you know, he admitted he took it too far, and he did. But I mean, come on, the fact you were worried about the fighter's health and that Goddard wasn't going to help him or whatever, you know, that's just so BS. It's not even funny. He probably didn't even write it, but still, I mean, it's on his name, so doesn't get it. Conor McGregor
doesn't get it. Quote: the referee, Mark Goddard, was making a horrendous decision in trying to pick an unconscious fighter up off the floor and force the fight to continue into the second round, even against the wishes of the said fighter's coach. The fight was over. After witnessing my fighter in a fight where the worst happened and the opponent passed away from his injuries on the night, I thought the worst was about to happen again, and I lost it and overreacted. I'm sorry to everyone. That, my friends, is grade A horseshit. That is grade A horseshit.
Yeah,
Conor McGregor, you don't get it. And goddamn it, next time I'm dropping some goddamn heat, don't step on my line, Nicholas. Next up, Bellator, for using the Conor thing as a ratings boost. They were on tape delay, so they knew this happened, and they were able to pull together some quick ads and get some fresh ratings. Nicholas, Bellator, get it? It gets it or doesn't get it for taking advantage?
I mean, the fact that Bellator can promote the UFC lightweight champion Conor McGregor because he was at a Bellator show and it was the biggest story afterwards because nothing else happened there. Big gets it. I mean, the you know, Bellator's ratings have been down. They need an increase, and they probably got it.
Yeah, all day, gets it all day. Just like you said, this is promotion 101. When crazy shit happens, you don't edit it out of the footage. You show it, man. When Nick Diaz brawled with Mayhem Miller in the cage, what was that, Elite XC? Or was that, I can't fucking remember. But anyway, I think it might have been Strikeforce. You still fucking show it. That's some awesome shit, guys. Next up, gets it, doesn't get it. Mirko Cro Cop announces his retirement from MMA, is suspended once more to have a few more fights with one risen fighting federation. Nicholas, does Cro Cop get it or not get it?
This is a tough one for me. I was thinking maybe at first doesn't get it because he's, 40-something years old. He's taken a bit of damage. He doesn't need to take any more. And why the hell would he come back? You know, does he really want to be here? Maybe not. But then I started thinking, he's fighting, you know, whoever. He's going to win. He's on steroids. He's going to knock this guy out, and he's going to make some money. And, you know, it's a Japanese MMA. This isn't a tough fight. If he was coming back and fighting Cain Velasquez, Huge doesn't get it. But the fact is, he's going to come back, get a knockout, and leave again. Gets it, Mirko Cro Cop.
Pride FC always loved Cro Cop. They always cushioned his matchups. They'd let him know ahead of time who his opponents was, and then would tell his opponent at the last minute, you're fighting Cro Cop. They just like greasing the wheels for the dude. They like him as a champion. He sells well for them, or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's some weird mob deal. But nonetheless, you know, Sakibara, it's all inside the family. He's coming back to Risen. He's on the juice. He looks great on the juice. Let's not mince words. Mirko Cro Cop looks amazing on steroids, so let's keep him on goddamn steroids. A few more fights, handpicked by him and his team. Sounds like a great retirement plan for me. Gets it all day. Next up, gets it, doesn't get it. Gender wars. Now, astute fans of MiddleEasy.com saw my article over the weekend about a Russian promotion who is running a man versus woman fight. The winner to take $1 million. Now, who this man versus women is, we don't know. The pay-per-view is supposed to happen sometime in January. The only fight confirmed on the card is Wes Sims against some dude from Minnesota who has like 95 fights. This looks like a complete Russian shit show. The guys behind it, I actually think, are American dudes. So, like, it only gets weirder and weirder. The only words on the promotion was no ring, like no scorecards, backyard rules, which of course this was going to be some weird backyard shit show. Nicholas, do the gender wars get it or do they not get it?
I'm so tempted to say they get it just because they're answering like the most valued question in all of MMA. What happens when a man fights a woman? But you know,
it has to be the right man and the right woman, though. Like, I want to see like a really stud-ass woman who's like jacked on steroids. Yeah, I want to see Cyborg. Yeah, that's a dream intergender fight.
Yes.
Could you imagine Chris Cyborg? But think about this, all right? Let Chris Cyborg juice as much as she wants against Dan Henderson.
That'd be terrible.
In 10 years, when Dan Henderson's like much more geriatric, though.
Well, when Dan Henderson's cripple and an elder, okay, that's different.
Tell me that's not like a damn compelling matchup, and I'll call you a goddamn liar.
The human being inside of me still has to go, doesn't get it. You know, the fact that they're promoting a man versus woman and it's backyard and $1 million, do they really have that money? Who knows? I'm so tempted to say, you know, I'll watch the really terrible person in me. I'll watch, but I can't.
You're going to watch it when I GIF it and post it on middleeasy.com.
I'll probably buy the pay-per-view.
Oh, you motherfucker. Yeah. I'll buy the pay-per-view for everybody.
I'm going to go doesn't get it. I can't go gets it.
Gets it, baby, all day. What makes me more happy than weird Russian promotions happening in backyards with intergender fights? Like nothing. So this is great, man, all day. Last gets it, doesn't get it, Nicholas. Michael Bisping for taking the Kelvin Gastelum fight after Anderson Silva popped for steroids. Gets it, doesn't get it.
If this is a guy who, you know, has had 5 fights in the UFC, he's on a 2-fight skid, might be lucky to still be here, wants to make the company happy, might not be on good terms with the UFC, gets it. But this guy just lost his title. He just got choked unconscious. He just got knocked down. He wants to have a retirement fight in March. If he loses against Gastelum, I'm not so sure that, you know, how likely that will be. Doesn't get it, Michael Bisping. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the spotlight. He's retiring anyways. This isn't going to, you know, boost his claim, you know, claim to fame or his where he's at in the division. This is, you know, not a good fight for him. I know he wants, you know, it's sort of the British badass he is, but doesn't get it.
Gets it. He's got a big ass mortgage from some house in LA that he's got to pay off. He was expecting to get that win money and that, you know, he's getting that show money and that win money in the GSP fight. Didn't get the win money. So now he's chasing it and he's going to collect it. Take a knockout from Kelvin Gastelum. Fight in London later against some cupcake matchup. Everything's working out for Michael Bisping. He's figuring out a perfect way to ride out into the sunset.
Alrighty, that is it for Gets It, Doesn't Get It. Let's move on to dumb questions, and in a matter of moments, we'll be out of here. First dumb question out of 2 comes from Tim Bissell. Follow him on Twitter at Timothy Bissell. He says, in the spirit of this, and it's a link to a fantastic YouTube video he put together, 2 professional tattoo artists grading basically the tattoos of some fighters. He says, which famous MMA tattoo would you get if you had to?
Fuck, this is so hard. It's like a lot of really shitty MMA tattoos.
You don't have any tattoos, do you?
No, I don't have any tattoos.
Do you ever get one or no?
Yeah, I'd get a tattoo. I don't know. I just never did. I would love to get something like really dope, like Connor's maybe like gorilla chest piece, but I'm never getting a tattoo on my chest. So you know what? This is one I'd get. I'd get the Kempo dude that Chuck Liddell has.
I'll go with what does Kane have on his chest? What is it?
Brown pride.
Let's go with that.
Okay, next dumb question. Jesus Christ, it's not dumb answers, Nicholas. It's dumb question. Okay, DQ.
It's from Twitter shit. It's from Liam, our good pal.
Oh my God, this is from Twitter shit. Well, yeah, everyone knows Twitter shit. Yes. Shout out to him. DQ. You might like stolen from.
Just ignore that part.
Who is the shittiest fighter to main event a UFC card?
Artem Lobov all day.
Yeah, unquestionably. I'm racking my brain to try to think of a worse one.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, some people said Lena Landsberg, and if you go back, you know,
Lena Landsberg, that's really good, actually.
Yeah. But if you go back super far, maybe you find someone, but Artem Lobov, not a good fighter.
Hard to fight against Artem Lobov. I'll go with that. I will say the worst person to headline an MMA card that was like of some sort of repute is probably Barb Honchek. She's a really good fighter, but just like the most boring fighter in the history of the world.
She might be a UFC champion next month. Just an FYI.
Yeah, congratulations. You've just made that belt the most boring belt of all time.
All right. That is it for episode 137 of the MMA Circus. Whether you're watching live right now on YouTube or watching or listening to the live stream or watching the replay on YouTube as well, whether it's on iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever, we thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. Andrew, let everybody know where they can find you on social media and anything else you got to plug with your very full of integrity MMA journalism.
Yeah, middleeasy.com with the #1 source for journalistic integrity. Find me out there. I publish most of my articles on the weekends. I cover the events. So I'm covering the Twitter feed as well during basically every single UFC. You can find me on Twitter at the Clown Kid. Figure out how to spell all three of those words time together, and you get access to my wonderful, beautiful, intelligent tweets. And that's about it, man. We're thinking about doing a big sumo wrestling podcast, but like I said, that's going to be a thing that I talk about for 13 weeks and then maybe deliver. And there's a lot of rumblings about bringing back Before the Baldman Speaks, but no promises. No promises.
All right. You guys can find me on the Twitter at Nick Baldwin MMA. You can find my writing over at bloodyelbow.com. You can find my other podcasts right here on this YouTube channel exclusively. I do 2 other shows now. Before the Battle with Jed Mashu and Wesley Riddle, each and every fight week breaking down UFC cards. Will be live Thursday evening, talking this weekend's UFC Fight Night, Sydney, Werdum versus Tybura. Beyond Combat, episode 3 will be live tomorrow night. I am having on Justin Likes from combatpress.com. We are going to talk about his teaching career. He is right now actually subbing, but last year he had a high school position. So going to be interesting to talk about that. It's going to be fun. So check that out right here on this YouTube channel as well tomorrow night. Did a bunch of interviews pretty recently. Talked to Curtis Blades after his UFC 217 win. That's on this YouTube channel. All these are on the YouTube channel. Talked to Muhammad Usman, the brother of Kamaru Usman. He picked up his 3rd pro victory earlier this month. Last night I talked to Walt Harris after his DQ loss to UFC 217, and also Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Those will be up probably tomorrow in person. Over the weekend on Sunday, I talked to Japanese MMA legend Masakazu Amanari. You know him probably because of the Amanari roll, the Amanari choke. Really cool to talk to him. He's a man of few words, but go check that out. That is posted as of a few hours ago right here on this YouTube channel. And I have an interview tomorrow with it's a pretty big interview. I'm not going to let you know who. You'll find out tomorrow, but I'm not exaggerating with the big because it is a UFC Hall of Famer. So that is all I will say. That'll be up sometime later this week.
A lot of plugs today, Nicholas.
Tomorrow. Yes, I am a busy man. Got a plug. Go check out Bloody Elbow. Thank you to them as always. You can find the MMA Circus on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, Google Play, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Player FM, Overcast, Podcast Addict, and I think that's it. Feel free to watch this again on the YouTube replay. We would really appreciate it. Go rate us, review us,
give us that thumbs up too, buddy.
Thumbs up. It is either down here or down there. I'm not sure.
You're literally just watching right now. Just click the thumbs up. Just do it. Just do it.
And that is it. Thank you all for watching. For Andrew the Clown Kid Lawrence, my name is Nick Baldwin, and we are out.
What up, Sherry?